Think of this. What if I told you that every time Rahul Gandhi leaves the country, India burns? Sounds like a conspiracy theory, right? But what if there's a clear link between his foreign visits and sudden eruptions of violence in India? He boards a plane and suddenly protests erupt, riots break out, and political tensions spike. Coincidence or something deeper? Let's dive in to understand. While Delhi was burning in February 2020, Rahul Gandhi was away on a mysterious trip to Southeast Asia. When he returned, he immediately blamed the government, yet provided no constructive solution. Just before the Republic Day violence in 2021, Rahul Gandhi was abroad again, raising concerns about India's democracy in foreign circles. In his Cambridge speech, Rahul Gandhi declared that Indian democracy is under attack. Weeks later, violence erupted in Manipur, which Congress leaders used as a political weapon. Once again in 2024, Rahul Gandhi was absent while protests resurfaced, and misinformation about the Citizenship Amendment Act was widely spread. And it just doesn't end here. I can go on and on and on. But wait, you might say, correlation doesn't imply causation. And normally, I'd agree. But when the pattern repeats itself so consistently, shouldn't we at least ask questions? Rahul Gandhi's foreign trips are not just vacations. Every time he's abroad, he's meeting Western politicians, journalists and think tanks that have a history of questioning India's democracy. He has spoken at institutions where India's progress under the BJP is ridiculed. And soon after, protests, riots and social media campaigns erupt within India. Foreign newspapers suddenly start publishing pieces on India's democracy. Moreover, Western governments issue statements condemning India's policies. The problem with Rahul Gandhi's foreign trips is the people with whom he meets. In the UK, he met Jeremy Corbyn, the former Labour Party leader, who has openly supported Pakistan on Kashmir. Then there is Sam Pitroda, who downplays India's growth and spreads Western narratives. In the US, Rahul has engaged with Ilhan Omar, who is well known for his anti-India narrative, and think tanks like the Hudson Institute, where anti-India voices strive. And let's not forget his indirect links with George Soros, the billionaire who want to fix India's democracy. Rahul even spoke at Cambridge and Harvard, where he painted a bleak picture of India, a narrative that China and Pakistan love to use. Now, meeting people isn't a crime. But why does Rahul always end up with those who criticize India? Coincidence or a pattern? You decide. As a former Congress president and key opposition leader, Rahul Gandhi has a responsibility to represent India on the global stage with dignity. But instead, what do we see? Time and again, he has chosen to portray India's internal matters on foreign land, distorting facts to fit his narrative. He has accused India of being an electoral autocracy and a country where the constitution is constantly under threat, while standing on foreign platforms. He has painted a picture of India as a country on the verge of collapse. He has compared the Indian government to Nazi Germany, an irresponsible claim that there's more harm than good. Imagine having family issues. Would you first try to resolve them at home, or would you broadcast them to your neighbors, office, colleagues and social media? Rahul Gandhi and Congress seem to prefer the latter. Now, let's talk about who gains from all this instability. The first and most obvious answer is the Congress party. A party that has lost its political relevance has only one path left: chaos. They know they cannot win elections based on development, because they lack strong leadership and a vision for the future. But if they can create an atmosphere of fear, doubt and uncertainty, they believe they can weaken Modi's grip on the electorate. Second, the foreign lobbies that Rahul Gandhi frequently interact with. Remember the toolkits that emerge every time there is a large protest in India? These documents, designed to spread misinformation and provoke anger, often have deep ties to anti-India networks. Many of these groups are linked to foreign intelligence agencies and special interest groups that want India to remain weak and divided. And finally, the so-called intellectual class that thrives on creating an image of India as a failed state. The more chaos there is, the more they get to write op-eds, speak at international panels, and justify their relevance. They rely on unrest and negativity to maintain their status. Rahul Gandhi's Cambridge speech in 2023 is a prime example. He described India as a nation on the brink of civil war. Within weeks, violence erupted in multiple states. Is this really a coincidence or something more calculated? When a leader repeatedly predicts instability and then that instability builds up while he is comfortably abroad, we must question whether these are just predictions or orchestrated narratives. Defenders will say he's just exercising his freedom of speech. Sure, but with great power comes great responsibility. His words influence thousands, and he cannot escape accountability for the consequences. The Congress party has been using divide and rule politics for decades, and Rahul Gandhi is just taking it global. Back in 1984, Congress leaders were linked to anti-Sikh riots, but the party pretended to have no role in it. Then came the Shah Bano case, where they overturned the Supreme Court ruling just to keep the minority vote bank happy. And let's not forget the Mandal Commission, which deepened caste divisions for political gain. Now, Rahul Gandhi is playing the same game, but on an international stage. His speeches in Cambridge, Brussels, or Washington doesn't just stay there. Rather, they spread across India within minutes, and the damage, it's real. The audience may have changed, but Congress divide and rule tactics remain the same. Rahul Gandhi's actions aren't just political blunders. They raise serious questions about his intent. Is he a leader acting in India's interest, or is it a political drama at its worst? So, is Rahul Gandhi's absence during unrest just coincidence? The evidence suggests otherwise. While we may never have direct proof of causation, the pattern is too consistent to ignore. But one thing is clear. India deserves opposition leaders who engage in constructive debate at home, not those who criticize the country from foreign soil whilst chaos unfolds in their absence. This is Sampriti. See you in the next one.